What's up guys, Virgil here for JRPG Central, and today I want to talk to you guys about the Octopath Traveler demo and why I'm so excited about this damn game, and why I think you guys should be too. If this is a game that's kind of flown under the radar for you, I'll be doing a deep dive into the graphics, the gameplay, the story, the characters, everything. So if you like the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up, and if there's anything I don't get to that you're curious about, just leave a comment down below and I'll be happy to answer any questions. So, Project Octopath Traveler, what is this? So, Octopath Traveler is the code name for Square Enix's upcoming kind of classic-style JRPG, kind of similar to Bravely Default. In fact, the producers of Bravely Default are actually directly involved in this game. And there's certainly some clear inspiration from Bravely Default that I'll point out later in the video. But the main gimmick or premise, or however you want to say it, of this game, from what I understand, is the reason it's called Octopath Traveler is there are 8 different storylines with 8 different characters that, at some point in the game, I assume all come together towards one end goal. I'm not exactly sure just from the demo. This is going to be a very weird comparison, but in Battlefield 1, there was, instead of one campaign, one like long campaign, there were, I want to say 4 or 5 kind of shorter campaigns with different characters in different areas and different, locations. And that's kind of what this reminded me of in a weird way, but I really dig that. I think that's a really cool way to do a campaign or a storyline, especially in a JRPG. With these 8 storylines, each character has a specific task that they can do with, I assume, NPCs. The only 2 we've seen so far have been NPC interactions. They're cool, they're okay, but with one of the characters you can just fight any NPC, which is kind of neat. That's kind of cool. And with the other character, she can basically seduce any other NPC and just have them follow her. And outside of one story use, I don't really see the use of doing that with any of the other random NPCs. With Ulbrich, I can see why that would be kind of useful. Just walk up to an NPC and beat the hell out of them. Like a random if you kind of just feel like getting into a random battle, why not? But with Primrose, I don't really understand the utility of it. The other really unique thing about this game, and possibly the most unique, is its art style. It's something that Nintendo is calling 2D HD. The aesthetic looks like a standard 16-bit RPG, but the environments are polygonal and 3D with sprites laid out over them, and you have lighting effects, particle effects with certain parts of the environment. It's incredibly striking and a marvel to look at. This was the kind of thing that when I first saw it, I just thought, how had this not been done before? This seems like such an easy, logical evolution of that art style. And the fact that Square is doing this first is awesome, because if anyone's going to do this kind of game, you kind of want it to be Square. Moving on to the battles, this is where the similarities with Bravely Default really show. Like Bravely Default, the battles are random, just like your standard Final Fantasy. And also like Bravely Default, you can store your turns and dish them out, unleashing multiple attacks in the same turn. This is just as satisfying as it was in Bravely Default, and is a simple way to really make the gameplay a lot faster and a lot more snappy. When you do go to attack 2, there's this strike of light that just floods the screen for a moment. Again, the lighting implementation from Unreal Engine is just so good in this game. When you go to break someone's shield, the last attack kind of slows down and goes into a slow-mo for a split second as the glass shatters from their shield. It's awesome. Most enemies have armor, at least 1 point of armor, and the way armor works in the game is a little weird, and a good idea in theory, but can quickly be abused. Basically, enemies have X amount of armor, and the way you chip away at that armor is by hitting them with something they are weak to. You can still do damage if they have armor, you just do obviously more damage if they don't have armor. And once you nail their weakness down, and you break their armor, they skip a turn. But say they have 2 armor, and you already know what their weak point is, you can attack at least twice each turn, because of the boost points. And so if you nail them twice with your boosted attack, break their armor, they skip their next turn, your turn rolls around, you do it again, they never get to hit you. Another thing that makes the battle so enjoyable is the music. The battle theme is fantastic. In fact, all of the music in this game is fantastic. I've been completely blown away by the soundtrack in this game. It's on another level. Here are some samples of some of the songs from the game. The game is being composed by a composer I've never heard of. He's a freelancer who's now working for Square named Yasunori Nishiki. This is some of his first work in games, and my god, dude. If this is some of his first work in games, I can only imagine what he's going to bring to the table next. Yasunori Nishiki is a name you should definitely keep in your mind, because I do not think this is the last we're going to hear of his work. The other thing I noticed about the game that I really enjoyed was the grounded story. It wasn't your standard fare JRPG storyline, at least not yet. Both Primrose and Ulbricht's stories were both pretty grounded. Granted, they were both kind of revenge stories, but Primrose's specifically had a really awesome twist on it and was really messed up. Like, that's the other thing too. These are kind of dark stories, especially Primrose's is a very, very dark story and not a very, I wouldn't say it's very child-friendly or family-friendly, is the way I'll put it. But I found both of the stories really engaging, and again, for a demo, I was very impressed. The demo was long too. I beat Ulbricht's storyline in about an hour and a half, and I think Primrose's in an hour and a half about as well, so I mean, 3 hours for a demo is pretty impressive. The nice thing is too, the demo doesn't just end, so if you want to keep kind of exploring or doing some random battles you can, which is nice. The other thing that helped the narrative be so engaging was the voice acting. The voice acting is great. I would argue some of the best in a Square Enix game. I swear I'm not speaking in hyperbole here. Now, granted, that might not be saying a lot when you compare it to some of the past works of Square's. But seriously, it's fantastic. It's actually really good.
I will never forget. 3 men, each marked with the sign of the crow. One on his left arm. One on his right. And the last on his neck.
Ah! Have you not eyes? The king is dead by my hand.
What madness? What treachery is this?
And the good part is, too, if you want to enjoy this as your standard 16-bit JRPG, you don't want any voice acting in your JRPGs, I totally get that. You can turn voices off and read every line of dialogue like a old SNES JRPG. So obviously, I'm in love with the game, and I'm super hyped on it. But that doesn't mean it's perfect. There are definitely some things I would probably tweak or change a little bit. Not many, though. My biggest gripe is actually the lighting. To me, the lighting is amazing. It's used, for the most part, very well. But as you're walking around, the lighting is almost too much. In the middle of the screen, it's fine, right? But on the edges, everything is so blurred and so ridden with lighting and effects that you can almost not even make out what's on the sides of the screen. Which is a shame because, again, the pixel art is amazing, and I really want to fully enjoy all the art that the game has to show. And maybe this is just a personal preference thing, I don't know. If this bothered any of you guys, let me know in the comments down below. The other thing I would change is the encounters. I know a lot of people who hate random encounters, and while I don't particularly enjoy them, I think ever since Chrono Trigger, I've just wanted every game to do that. I loved it in Ni no Kuni, I loved it in the 3DS version of Dragon Quest VIII. To me, those style of encounters are the best of both worlds. I don't know if that's something that they even could change at this point in development, but it would be nice. And the last thing is kind of nitpicky, but in handheld mode, the UI and text is really, really small and kind of hard to read. Now, once it's up on the big screen, it's fine and everything looks great. But when you take it out of docked mode, everything is really, really tiny. I'm thinking that maybe since this is just a demo, you know, most Switch games have 2 resolutions for docked and handheld mode. I think it just stays in one resolution, so it maybe plays at 1080p on the TV, and then when you pick it up, it's still 1080p, making everything look kind of tiny. So maybe it's something that's fixed once the full version is out. Even if it's not, though, it's really not a big deal, it's just kind of a minor quip. As you can see, there are a ton of reasons to be excited for Octopath Traveler. It's coming out for Nintendo Switch next year, hopefully early next year, I think. It's definitely a day one buy for me, and if you're a JRPG fan and a Switch owner, it's definitely one you should keep on the radar. But yeah, that's it for me. If you guys had any kind of questions about the game that you want answered, go ahead and leave a comment down below if there was anything I missed. Be sure to leave that down below as well. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.